Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I show you how to divide lamb's ear. So let's go. Right here you can see I have a beautiful patch of lamb's ear, and it's only been in this spot for 1 year. However, I don't love the location of the lamb's ear, so I wanted to show you my process for digging and dividing this plant. I've heard lamb's ear can be aggressive. After all, it is part of the mint family. However, so far my experience has been it has not been aggressive for me. But if it does end up being aggressive for me, I have no problem digging it up and moving it to other parts of my yard or sharing it with other people, since it is very easy to pull out of the ground. This plant thrives in full to part sun conditions, and it likes a well-draining soil. It doesn't like to be very wet, and it also does not thrive in humid conditions. Many times at the base of the plant, you'll find old, tattered leaves, and if you find that, you can just remove those very easily. It is very easy to propagate this plant, either through division or from seed. What happens with lamb's ear is it has the mother or main plant, and then as the leaves kind of touch the ground, it roots itself, and that's how it easily propagates itself. In the area behind me, I had creeping phlox. It did not thrive in that location. So since I can see that the lamb's ear is doing really well here, I figured why not divide and move some of this lamb's ear into that location behind us. The first thing we're going to do is dig up this nice clump of lamb's ear here. And I'm just going to use a small hand shovel, and I just want to get right underneath it. Many of these pieces that we will be digging and dividing have just come off of a main plant. And the key is you just want to make sure that your division has some roots and some leaves. What we want to do now is cut off any leaves that don't look good. So for example, this leaf right here has gotten very wet and has bent, so I might as well cut that off. And I'm just removing some of the lower leaves that don't look very good. Any leaves that we're removing, plus any leaves that have fallen from the trees, are always good to remove at this time because those can harbor pests and disease. If you look carefully, you'll see that this right here could be its own plant, this could be its own plant, and this could be its own plant. So we dug up this one bigger plant and we could divide it into 3 pieces. You can divide this a few different ways. You can either tug it or pull it apart, or you can use something like hand pruners, which is what I choose to use. You always want to make sure that whatever you're using for a tool has been sterilized because you don't want to transfer disease from one plant to another. I'm going to come in right here and make my cut as long as there are some roots with my plant. You can see that this plant has some nice roots. Here's another leaf that I can cut off. Again, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to make a cut right in here. That's the second plant that we have. And then this probably was the mother or main plant. And notice it has little babies that are coming up that will get bigger over time. Sometimes if an area or a patch of your lamb's ear is too big, the small hand shovel will not do the trick. So sometimes we need to get our bigger hand shovel to help dig out a big patch of the lamb's ear. You just want to get right under the plant and you want to lift. And then I like to shake off some of the soil just so I can see the roots better. And the process for dividing would be the same. You can tug and try to pull apart your pieces, or you can just use your small hand pruners and you can clip where you can see the plant has some roots at the end of it. And there's quite a bit of growth in the middle here. It's important to divide your lamb's ear every 2 to 3 years, I would say, because if you don't do that, you're going to end up with areas in the middle of your patch of lamb's ear where it's starting to die off. We just had a lot of rain, so the ground is nice and wet. And if the ground wasn't wet, then you'd want to make sure that you poured some water in the hole before planting this. And you just want to make sure that the roots are beneath the soil level, but the crown of the plant is above the soil level. Just placing it in, I'm going to backfill with my soil. What I really love about lamb's ear is not only the silver foliage, but also the way it feels. This is a fun plant to have in the garden if you have children. It also is just a wonderful ground cover towards the front of a flower bed. Since I know that the lamb's ear will spread over time, I'm just giving them a little bit of room to breathe. The patch that we just planted is located right over there. And just notice how pretty it looks. It really pops in that area. And my goal is I'm just going to be adding it towards the front of this bed here, because you can see that it really needs something towards the front of the bed, something that's low to the ground. And I think the silver color of the leaves will really pop in this location. Right over here, that's where the creeping phlox still is that I will be removing. And I will be pulling the lamb's ear from this location here. There's plenty there for me to be able to divide and move into this space here, which I'm very excited about. You can see I have a lot of plants here that I can dig up and divide and move into that new location. Please be sure to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to this channel to follow the progress on how these lamb's ear thrive in their new location. I'll be digging and dividing a lot more plants in my yard over the next many months, so be sure to follow along. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.